It's the time of the year where we get excited to talk about what's going to be going on at the All-Star games for these draft prospects. There are two. The first one up is the East-West Shrine game. I can't wait to talk about these players that I'm excited about seeing in the East-West Shrine game. But before we get to that, let me tell you about my sponsor for today's video, DraftKings. It's that time of the year. We have some exciting playoff games to look forward to now. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, my partner for this video. They are offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Don't let this slip away. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up using the promo code WORSTTAKE. The crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games as they happen, making watching the games that much more exciting. If sports betting is not much available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have your shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code WORSTTAKE. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WORSTTAKE only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The East-West Shrine game is a game that is growing in prestige. This year, they have somebody who's projected to be a top 5 pick in Shedeur Sanders at the game. There's going to be a heavy Colorado influence at this game because of it. So this East-West Shrine game, I think, is up there, or at least getting up there on the same tier as the Senior Bowl. Now, the Senior Bowl has a massive list of prospects that we're going to talk about. That's another video for another day. But also, I got plans for my East-West Shrine coverage. I will not be able to make it in person to the East-West Shrine game, but I do have people that I trust that will be down there. I expect to keep in regular contact with them and have coverage of every day of the East-West Shrine game on this channel. So if you're looking forward to that, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and ding that notification bell down below. Now, my watch list for the East-West Shrine game. Now, obviously, there might be players who pop up during this game that, well, not this game, but this week of practice that really kind of raise their stock because of how they're playing here. But these are the guys that before they get into that practice, I feel pretty good about them making some level of impact. And these prospects span different rounds of availability, right? Some of these guys would be guys you look at in the first, second, third round. Some of these guys would be undrafted free agents. Some of these guys would be late round picks. I'm going to start with somebody who could potentially be a UDFA guy, but I like him a lot. Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech. He's a interior defensive tackle. Big body, really played well versus Georgia. I've gotten to see Georgia Tech a couple of times this year. I like how Zeke Biggers plays the position. He's a very solid 3-tech. I want to see him go up against more NFL competition this week at the East-West Shrine game. Kind of wish he was going up to the Senior Bowl because there's a little bit better offensive line talent there. But I expect him to rise in stock a little bit. Right now, he's a UDFA, but I think he'll rise to like 6th, 7th round territory. I think that's where he belongs. I like him as a 3-tech prospect. Shedeur Sanders is going to be the apple of everybody's eye there at the East-West Shrine game. He's going to be the highest graded, well, not the highest graded, but the highest rated prospect there, right? The prospect that people expect to go earliest in the draft. What could you expect to see from Shedeur Sanders? I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that makes teams comfortable about Shedeur behind the scenes. I've always said this. A lot of the talk about Shedeur having personality conflicts or being a locker room problem, it's literally unfounded. This is somebody who everything that I've heard comes back as a really great teammate and somebody that coaches are going to love. Remember, he's a coach's kid and somebody that GMs are going to love personality-wise. Now, skill set-wise, some of the stuff you want to see from Shedeur Sanders is, you know, him working on his pocket mechanics. Is he still drifting in the pocket? Can he anchor himself down the center line of that pocket and move north-south on it more often? Because he's not a great athlete. We'll see if he gets to do any athletic measurables at this game. I doubt it. But what he needs to succeed in the NFL is to be able to move north-south in that pocket a bit more effectively than he showed at Colorado or at Jackson State. Jimmy Horn Jr. is another interesting name here. I think he's a fantastic athlete. It'd be nice to see him go up one-on-one against corners. He has this quick burst athleticism that I think can be very useful in the NFL. He's somebody who draft boards are all over the place with him, right? Some people have him as a 4th-round pick. Some people have him as a 7th-round pick. Some people have him as a UDFA guy. I think Jimmy Horn Jr. is intriguing enough as an athlete to be a day 3 pick in this year's draft. I want to see him go up against these East-West Shrine Bowl participants and kind of show something this week, right? Separate him from just being another Colorado guy. I think he has the potential to do that. He kind of lived in the shadow of Travis Hunter, which is hard not to. Travis Hunter cast a very large shadow, but I like to see him this week break out of that shadow. Curtis Work. Now, I doubt he's going to play because the reports are that he is recovering, that he got ACL surgery after the season because he played with a torn ACL. Now, some people don't believe this is true. I see no reason to lie about it, right? Like, NFL teams are going to know if you're lying about this. Like, this isn't something you could just lie about and just get away with it, right? So I think he did play last year with the ACL injury. And if you look at the tape, kind of makes sense that he played played like that because he had an ACL injury. The big problem with Curtis Work is that when he went up against the elite teams in college football, he looked terrible. And I don't know if all of that had to do with that ACL injury, right? When he played Ohio State, he looked bad. When he played against Michigan, he looked bad, and he looked horrible against Notre Dame. 3 elite teams, or at least elite defenses in college football. That's a big problem for Curtis Work, right? Whose biggest issue is that he played 3 years or 4 years at the University of Ohio in the MAC, came up, had a good year in the best conference of college football, but played a weak schedule in that conference. And then when he went up against the Blue Bloods in that conference, it didn't look great for him, plus Notre Dame. So that's the big question with him, right? He does a lot of things that look nice. I promise you, he will be somebody who plays well in the preseason. The worry with Curtis Work is, can he put it together when the game is moving at an NFL speed? I don't know if that's the case. In this kind of all-star game setting, if he were able to play, that would be something we will get a better bet on. But since I don't think he's going to play or practice this week at the East-West Shrine game, and I could be wrong about that, we'll see what happens. Maybe he's going to get the ACL surgery after the East-West Shrine Bowl game, but I doubt that's a good strategy. But what you're going to be able to see is like, okay, how is he doing recovery wise? Let's get a medical on that knee. Like, the Curtis Work, his film says he should be a drafted quarterback in his class, somewhere between 5th and 7th round. But if he gets bad medicals on that knee, he's going to be an undrafted free agent. So that's going to be a big week for him. Fun prospect. He's a guy who fits in a lot of like these wide zone Shanahan style systems that like the Browns run. But the question for him is, what are his medicals going to look like? He's already an older prospect. And how long is he going to have to recover from that ACL surgery that he decided to get after the end of the season, if it is a major surgery? Now, it might just be a minor surgery where he's just getting like a scope or something done, but what's the nature of that? We'll have more clarity of that during the East-West Shrine Bowl practice week. CJ West, the interior defensive tackle, number 8 from Indiana. He always pops when I watch Indiana. I've watched him play more than a few times. Every single game I notice number 8, even in the games where Indiana's getting their ass kicked. I like CJ West. I am higher on CJ West than I think most people are. I think Corey Kinnan is another guy who is high on CJ West. Now, we're not saying that, I'm not saying at least that CJ West is like a 1st or 2nd round draft pick or anything like that. But I do think he's draft worthy, and I think a lot of people don't have him as a draft worthy interior tackle. He's a bit older, or at least I think he is a bit older, but every time I watch him, he's making plays. He's putting in the effort. He's filling in gaps. I think he's going to be a good player at the next level. Rotational guy, but solid player at the next level. Interested to see what he does at the East-West Shrine game. There's not going to be a ton of top-tier guards or tackles at this game, so I expect him to tear through the competition during the East-West Shrine week. Kenneth Grant, now I expect him to dominate this week. He should dominate this week if he does practice. He is one of the highest-rated defensive tackles, kind of lives in the Mason Graham shadow a little bit at Michigan, more of a run defender than he is a pass rusher. I think this is going to be a week where he gets to demonstrate his value as a pass rusher, right? Because it might just be because you're playing next to Mason Graham, they're not going to ask you to pass rush a ton at Michigan. So he just did what he was supposed to do. This is going to be a week where he's not going up against great interior offensive line talent here, especially at the East-West Shrine game. I don't think we're going to see a ton of top-level guys be practicing this week, but Kenneth Grant gets to go up against these guys, work on his pass rushing skills, and get to show scouts that he is a pass rushing threat at the next level. If he can demonstrate that, he might be able to move in to the first round conversation, which would be big for him. This is an undrafted free agent guy, Cam Miller, out of North Dakota State. Good athlete, smart player, played a lot of football, played in the pro-style system at North Dakota State. Might be somebody you want to bring in as a camp arm and see if he can surprise you enough to stay on the roster throughout training camp. Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami. He's another guy, when you watch the Cam Ward tape, you keep noticing this running back who's running really hard. He's somebody who'll be fun to bring in during camp. And then Siobhan Revel. I don't know if he's going to practice this week. If he does, it's huge because he was one of the better defensive back prospects in the country before he got injured. He plays out of East Carolina. If he gets to practice, that's going to be fun to see. And I really want to see. And he will be a nice measuring stick for a lot of these wide receivers at the East-West Shrine game, as well as somebody you would want to evaluate for the Browns because he could be there in the second or third round because of his injury this year. There are a couple players that I don't know much about that I would love to learn more about that I'm going to take this week to pay special attention to. Caden Prater, wide receiver out of Maryland, and Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Haven't watched these guys enough to have a serious opinion about them, but they're players who I've heard enough about to be intrigued about what they could do in this kind of setting. But that is my East-West Shrine Bowl watch list. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.